Right friends, welcome back to English Comprehension and Vocabulary. This is the 27th session, and as announced, today's discussion is nurturing 21st century enterprises, and Monday we are going to deliberate on much ado about transient data. This is Economic Times editorial of 2nd March, and today we are deliberating 1st March live mint article of nurturing 21st century enterprises. So, the meaning or the essence of this article is the 21st century enterprises are something different from what we have seen during the 20th century. And let us start nurturing 21st century enterprises. What is the meaning of nurture? Nurture means, you can think about with this example, to protect someone or something, basically taking care of young children, taking care of young plants, taking care of newly born enterprises, that is nurturing. And in the passage, that is in the economy context, it is being used with the newly formed enterprises. Startup companies require proper nurturing, and for that necessary ecosystem is required. So, nurturing means the new organization should be given support for it to grow, right. The nature of the enterprise is undergoing a tectonic shift, a disruption in startup speak. What is the meaning of it? The nature of the 21st century enterprises, or you can say companies, corporations, these are enterprises. So, the nature of the 21st century enterprises is undergoing a tectonic shift, a disruption in startup speak. What the startups tell is disruption, and it is a tectonic shift, right. So, enterprise means a company, a organization, a business. I have given public sector enterprises, private sector enterprises, and after that let us look at tectonic. Tectonic has got two meanings. One if you look at geography, and the other one if you look at economy. In geography, basically it relates to the structure of the surface of the earth. It relates to the structure of the earth, you can say. So, plate tectonics is the scientific theory describing large scale motion of 7 large plates and movement of large number of smaller plates. So, it is large scale motion of 7 large plates. So, tectonic means it is basically relating to the structure of the earth. Other meaning, tectonic means an important change that will have major effect, an important change that will have major effect, then only you have to say tectonic. Here you see the advent of ICT. Because of information and communication technology, I am able to teach you from longer distances. You are able to access my lecture even sitting in remote villages. So, this is tectonic shift in education sphere, right. So, I gave one example of tectonic. So, this is a tectonic shift taking place in enterprises, and what the startup companies call it as disruption. Disruption means stopping something from continuing as usual. If something is stopped from continuing as usual, that is a disruption, and you can say the entry of Reliance Jio acted as a major disruption in telecom industry. So, tectonic shift is an important change for any company or organization that have major effect, right. So, here if you go back to the paragraph, nurturing 21st century enterprises, the nature of the enterprise is undergoing a tectonic shift, a disruption in startup speak, right. Let us look at the next paragraph. Next paragraph is the 20th century was the era of large corporations. He is talking about 20th century era, and he is comparing with 21st century organizations. 20th century was the era, or you can say period, of large corporations. Era, what is the meaning? Era means period of time of which particular events or stages of development occurred. I gave one example. Most of our bureaucracy is failing in delivering the duties in independent India due to the hangover from colonial era, due to the hangover from colonial period. So, era means basically the period of time of which particular event or particular stage of development belongs to. So, here you see the 20th century was the era of the large corporations. It can be argued that the growth of the market economies of the West and in recent decades the Asian tigers and China was closely correlated with, if not driven by, the growth of their business houses. So, the growth of major economies of the West like Germany, then France, United States of America, the growth of major economies of the West as well as during the past 30-40 years, or you can say in recent decades, the Asian tigers. Asian tigers means the meaning is Japan, Korea, these are Asian tigers, and China was closely correlated with the growth of their business houses. The growth of these economies of 20th century is directly correlated with the growth of the business houses. And correlation we have seen yesterday, correlation means relation between two or more things when one of them influences the other. I have given one example. There is a correlation between women's literacy rate and infant mortality rate, right. So, here business houses growth is correlated with the growth of the countries, right. Next one is conglomerates such as General Electric. He is talking about several companies here. These are globally reputed companies. He is talking now about 20th century enterprises. He is talking about 20th century enterprises, and the paragraph or passage will come to the 21st century enterprises right sometime later. So, he is talking about 20th century enterprises, examples conglomerates such as General Electric, Procter and Gamble, like that. He has given examples of several companies. Please look into this. These are various companies which were established during 20th century, and here conglomerate. What is the meaning of conglomerate? Conglomerate means very large business organization. Tata Sons is the conglomerate, Reliance Industries is the conglomerate. So, conglomerate is the large business organization which consists of several companies that often sell different types of products or service. So, conglomerate. If you want to understand this word, please do not forget Reliance Industries, Tata Sons. So, here conglomerates such as so and so companies were the flag bearers of globalization. The companies whatever are mentioned here, they are the flag bearers of globalization. What is the meaning of flag bearer? Please look into this example, you will understand. India's companies TCS, Wipro, Infosys, these became the flag bearers of India's information technology industry. So, flag bearer means one who openly promotes an idea or becomes symbolic for it. If someone says Indian software industry, the symbolic organizations are Infosys, Wipro, TCS. So, you can say in other words, these are the flag bearers of Indian information and communication technology sector. And instrumental means serving as a means of pursuing an aim. I gave one example here, social media and subsequent demonstrations across Tamil Nadu. There were several protests across Tamil Nadu because of social media, and these were instrumental in bringing about legislation on Jallikattu. So, these demonstrations and powerful social media are instrumental. Instrumental means they served as the mean to achieve something. So, to achieve the legislation of Jallikattu, they served as a means. So, instrumental in bringing about legislation on Jallikattu, right. So, here let us go back to the paragraph. The paragraph says, conglomerates such as so and so were the flag bearers of globalization, instrumental in deploying a variety of technologies. Instrumental, I have just now explained, instrumental so as to achieve some result, the means they employed, that is instrumental. So, instrumental in deploying a variety of technologies and products worldwide, improving the quality of lives of hundreds of millions of people. So, for improving the quality of people, these businesses in 20th century became the flag bearers of globalization, and they were instrumental in improving the lives of millions of people. So, that is the meaning of this paragraph. I hope you are clear about this paragraph. Let us move on to the next paragraph. Simultaneously, we discussed previously, simultaneously, concurrently, simultaneously. Please look into this picture. Several bomb blasts occurred almost at same time, or you can say some bomb blast occurred at 6:40, some bomb blast at 6:45, some bomb blast at 7:05. So, under these circumstances you can call simultaneously, that means happening at exactly the same time, and please do not forget concurrently. I gave one example, the two super hit movies are being telecast concurrently from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. when the time is exactly matching, that is concurrently, almost happening at same time, that is simultaneously. So, there is a slight difference between simultaneously and concurrently, please understand. So, please get back to the passage. What is simultaneously? Simultaneously, large business houses created jobs. These large business houses created jobs and led the creation of wealth in their societies. Lot of wealth is created in their societies through shareholder value creation. Shareholder value creation means shares got increased in their values. So, shareholder value creation was created or by paying taxes. These conglomerates of multinationals paid huge taxes in their country of origin. India missed out on getting the benefits. In fact, India missed out this 20th century industrial revolution because of the reason we followed socialistic pattern of governance, right. So, India missed out on getting the benefits of a national manufacturing champion, arguably thanks to the failed experiment with the state-driven socialism. With the state-driven socialism. What is the meaning of socialism? I explained you socialism, capitalism. We somehow followed mixed economy, but initially after independence, mixed economy with a lot of socialist bias was there, and now it is mixed economy with capitalist bias. After lot of deregulation after 1991. So, initially we started with the socialist bias, that means most of the goods were produced by the states and the state decided what to produce, what to sell, how to produce, all these things were decided by state, that is the meaning of socialism. So, India after independence followed the socialistic pattern of governance, that is why India missed the opportunity of 20th century. But we have an opportunity, it is stating India missed the 20th century opportunity, but we have an opportunity to gain leadership in the future of innovation driven enterprises. Future is innovation driven enterprises. Several startups are coming and these are innovation driven enterprises, and India can gain leadership. India lost 20th century because at that time we followed the socialistic pattern of society. So, India missed the bus and now India can regain the leadership, and India can gain the leadership in the future of innovation driven enterprise. The Union government is putting together a few programs to help support India's enterprises of the future. So, to support startups, Indian government announced several programs, and this sentence is talking about this. Innovation, I have explained you, innovation means using new methods or ideas to do the things, that is innovation. Look at the paragraph. There is much to criticize the multinational corporations. Of course, there is much to criticize the multinational corporations about, such as their undesirable impacts on environment, ecological diversity, concentration of wealth. Rich poor gap widened because of these multinational corporations, that is concentration of wealth. So, rich and poor gap widened, that is one reason. Second reason is they did not care about environmental or ecological diversity. Biodiversity is very important. So, variety and variability of life on earth is there. So, the multinational corporations did not care much about biodiversity and ecosystem. Sometimes the biodiversity and ecosystem were spoiled because of multinational companies. That is the meaning of this paragraph, right? And because of this, environment is damaged sometimes, ecological diversity is damaged sometimes, and at the same time rich poor gap widened. These are the after effects of this multinational corporations of 20th century, right? So, look at the next paragraph. The intention of this series, that means this news article series, the intention of this series is not to discuss the pros and cons of the present system. Pros and cons, pro means advantage, con means disadvantage. So, pros and cons means advantages and disadvantages. So, example I have given, the government should look at the pros and cons before giving permission for industries in tribal areas. Before giving permission for industries in tribal areas, government should look at advantages, disadvantages, how it affects the life of tribals in that area, right. So, pros and cons means advantages and disadvantages. So, here the intention of these articles is not to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the current system, but to explore the recent trends in the evolution of business universe. Explore the recent trends, that means to discover the recent trends and to search for the recent trends, and at the same time how the new business processes will evolve. Evolve means it is a gradual process of change and development. I gave one example here, please look into this. So, the idea of the article is not to look at pros and cons of the present system of business enterprises, but to look at the recent trends in the evolution of the business universe in future, right. Look at the next paragraph. This is for any of the large multinationals, he is talking about the present large multinational companies. For any of the large multinationals, the current structure, so the present structure would be along broadly similar lines. The present structure for the large multinational companies is along the similar lines. That means, for almost all the big conglomerates, the total structure of organization is on the similar lines. What is the structure? After two dots, he is explaining about the structure. Corporate headquarters provide the backbone to individual business units. Corporate headquarters may be in Seattle, maybe in Los Angeles, maybe in New York. They provide the backbone to individual business units along with corporate branding. All of you are familiar with branding, Coca-Cola, Google, Facebook. This is a corporate branding, and backbone means most important aspect of something. I gave one example. The backbone of Indian manufacturing sector is informal enterprises. The backbone of Indian manufacturing sector is informal enterprises. So, the most important part of something is a backbone. So, he is talking about the present institutions, how they function. Corporate headquarters, that means maybe at Seattle, New York, Bengaluru, they provide the backbone to individual business units such as corporate branding. I have just now explained. Growth capital will be provided, shared knowledge of functions such as marketing and management of human resources, regulatory support and financing of R&D of new products. So, one headquarters will be there, it will look at corporate branding, at the same time it will provide necessary funding, it will provide necessary regulatory mechanism, it will provide necessary manpower, human resources, it is providing necessary finance for R&D of new products. So, this is the mechanism of 20th century organizations which thrived for the past 100 years, right. Centralizing this knowledge and these functions provides economies of scale and optimal utilization of scarce resources such as management bandwidth and cutting edge expertise. So, for these enterprises for the past 50 to 100 years, centralizing the knowledge is centralized and these functions provides economies of scale. I explained economies of scale, that means cost advantage when organization is much bigger in comparison to smaller. The bigger organization will have cost advantage in comparison to small organization because of several reasons. This is known as economies of scale. So, cost advantage that arises with increased output of a product, right. So, here economies of scale. So, I gave one example here, 500 cards, each card rupees 10. If I take 5000 wedding cards, he give for rupees 8 only. So, this is economies of scale, right. So, centralizing this knowledge and these functions provides economies of scale and optimal utilization of scarce resources such as management bandwidth and cutting edge expertise, right. So, here scarce resources means these are not easy to find or get, that means the resources are not that abundantly available, that is the meaning of scarce. And cutting edge. Cutting edge means this is totally modern technology, you can say, with all the latest features which gives someone an advantage over the others. So, nowadays India is thinking of electronic industry to become self-sufficient by 2020, and to achieve that, to compete globally, the Indian electronic industry must use cutting edge technologies. So, cutting edge means modern and with all the latest features, and that gives someone an advantage over the others. The meaning of cutting edge is this. So, here at present the global organizations are providing economies of scale and optimal utilization of scarce resources such as management bandwidth and cutting edge expertise. Corporations, he is talking about the present corporations, were able to optimize this structure and expand it to new regions quickly. Centralized office, expand the operations, everything is looked after by the central office. That is economies of scale. That is why they got cost advantage and they are employing cutting edge technologies, right. A new business line is started or a new market is opened by some enterprising executives of the business with the support and funding of the mothership, the corporate headquarters. Here the mothership is corporate headquarters. So, corporate headquarters will be there to guide, and here a new business line is started by the executives. So, this is the present trend of the global conglomerates or global organizations. So, this paragraph talks about what is the present nature of business of these global conglomerates or big organizations. In future, it is going to change. That is what this article is about. The nature of the enterprise. Now, the nature of the enterprise is undergoing a tectonic shift, a disruption in startup speak. So, tectonic shift I explained you at the beginning, tectonic structure of the earth, then tectonic means a very important change that will have a major effect. I gave you with example also disruption. If someone is prevented something from normal way, that is a disruption. So, here the new enterprises or you can say new startups are basically resulting in tectonic shift, a disruption in startup speak, right. Look at the next paragraph. It is talking about the new business model now. While businesses and enterprises have germinated and expanded throughout the last few hundred years, business ideas, have germinated. Germinate, all of you are familiar with this. You see, a seed starts germinating. This is one example. That means to cause a seed to grow, to start growing, and another idea is to start developing. If some idea is start developing in my mind, I can say that idea started germinating in my mind. So, here I have given one example. As soon as I completed my education, an idea of starting a restaurant germinated in my mind. So, here while businesses and enterprises have germinated and expanded throughout the last few hundred years, the trend of identifying fledgling businesses as startups reflects a new world where a few entrepreneurs develop a technology, so and so. I will come to it later on. What is meant by fledgling businesses? This word fledgling, this looks little new. Please look into the meaning. Fledgling, in economy it has got one meaning, and the other meaning is a young bird. Young bird which grown up feathers, and for the first time it is trying to fly because it got grown up feathers and it is trying to fly for the first time. Then you can say fledgling bird, fledgling bird. So, when you come to business, fledgling means new and without experience. So, new organizations, they do not have experience. So, new organizations, here you see, because of demonetization, fledgling businesses collapsed. So, new and without experience is fledgling. So, let us go back to the paragraph. While businesses and enterprises have germinated and expanded throughout the last few hundred years, the trend of identifying fledgling businesses as startups reflects a new world where a few entrepreneurs develop a technology. That means here the trend of identifying fledgling businesses as startups, new organizations as startups, that trend started recently where a few entrepreneurs develop a technology, deploy it in the market. In the market, they will deploy it, spurred by an external capital, provided by private equity or venture capital. So, this is the present day business mantra. If you have some idea, you will just start, and after that somebody will finance you, that is venture capital or private equity. So, with the venture capital available freely, so their activities are spurred by external capital. So, here I explained you about fledgling and then spur. Spur means basically to encourage an activity. When somebody is funding in the form of venture capital, then the entrepreneur, the budding entrepreneur will have interest to expand his activity. I have given one example. Chetan Bhagat wrote a novel initially, and people embraced that novel, and subsequently Chetan Bhagat went on to write 5 more novels in the subsequent years. So, the sentence here, spurred by his earlier success. So, spurred by his early success, or you can say encouraged by his early success, Chetan Bhagat went on to write 5 more novels in the subsequent years. So, this is the meaning of spur. Then all of you are familiar with angel investment and venture capital. Angel investment, small startup firms at the beginning stage, and when the business potential is established, that is venture capital, and at the same time private equity is also the term used when they are financing some private limited companies. Here private equity is the capital that is not traded in a public exchange. So, this is the investment made in private limited companies or somewhat grown up startup companies. So, private equity is composed of funds that directly invest in private companies, right. So, this is private equity. Nowadays, private equity is available, venture capital is available. Because of this, the new entrepreneurs activity has spurred, right. So, they got encouraged. So, that is the meaning of this paragraph. right. As India undergoes a startup revolution, as India undergoes a startup revolution is there in our country, and venture capitalists proliferate. What is the meaning of proliferate? Proliferate means increase a lot and suddenly in number. If something is increased suddenly in number, that is proliferation. In recent times, startups proliferated after the advent of information and communication technology in our country. So, proliferate means increase a lot and suddenly in number, that is proliferation. So, in recent times, startups proliferated after the advent of information and communication technology in our country. So, here as India undergoes a startup revolution and venture capitalists proliferate. When venture capitalists are expanding their operations, then there is no problem, startup revolution will be there. This is the right time to examine the changing nature of the business world. So, what is the essence of this article? The essence of this article is the conglomerates, big conglomerates flourished in 20th century, their business model is different. And now startups are coming, their business model is something different. So, one should understand the changing dynamics of the business models in the present day world, right friends. So, this is the essence of this article which appeared in the Mint, written by Amitabh Kant and some others, and on Monday we are going to deliberate on much ado about transient data. This is with regard to GDP figures for third quarter of 2016-17, which were released recently, and this is the Economic Times editorial of 2nd March yesterday, and this is going to be deliberated on 6th March Monday at 12 noon. Right friends, let us conclude, and please do join again at 12 noon on Monday for comprehension ability discussion. Have a nice day. Thank you.